Hi, I'm Caroline Haddo and welcome to the Talking Circle. Today we're going to have a chat with Robert Smith and Deborah Ross in regards to drug and alcohol and advocacy.
Hi, I'm Robert Smith. I'm a recovery advocate with Circles Network.
And hi, I'm Deborah Ross. I'm a recovery advocate with Circles Advocacy.
So Circles Network have funding from the ADP, which is the Alcohol and Drug Partnership, and we're specifically funded to support people who are going through the recovery process or accessing drug and alcohol services. So both you guys are our recovery advocacy workers. So just a chat today about people who are accessing the service and the difficulties they're facing, because you see it every day, and I think you guys will know there's a certain stigma attached to people who have addictions or are in recovery, and it's just, how do we overcome that? How do you guys overcome that in your role? And some of the issues that people face who are going through recovery or accessing services.
A lot of the issues that I find in the main are housing issues, where people are inadequately housed, they're living in poor living conditions, and because they're living with an addiction, they're often not deemed to be seen as priority for getting moved. The other issue that I've come across is the way that they're potentially treated by drug and alcohol agencies. So that's some of the main issues that I've kind of dealt with in the last year or so, and problems with money, food banks, gas, electricity. So that's probably the main issues that I deal with on a daily basis.
Do you think housing take into consideration, and I guess it's hard for housing because we didn't have a lot of housing stock, and they're obviously struggling as well as every other service, but do you think that housing, when they're allocating people houses or moving people or whatever the situation is, do you think they take into consideration, you know, their addiction or they're in recovery, or in terms of the party five that they're housing them in maybe?
I think they go out of their way to put them in areas that's got addiction problems, just to kind of keep them out of the way. Group them up, group them together and keep them in different areas that's got these type of problems and keep them away from normal streets, if you like.
Do you think that's, to a housing point, and I'm not trying to justify it, but do you think from a housing point of view that's because it's easy to manage then, if you have all the problems in the one area, if you like? Know that I want to say that people with addictions are problems, but do you think that's how it's looked at? Probably
part of it, and I think people in nice streets and that, if there's people with addictions moving in, there's obviously straight away there's a stigma there, there's the house is going to get broken into, is this going to happen? And that's not always the case with addicts. So it's changing public opinion would be the first step. And do
you like, when you guys are working with people and they're coming to the service, do people talk to you about the stigma that they're facing, or does it just kind of come out in the conversations you're having when you're talking about their issues? Does it just kind of become apparent as opposed to people acknowledging that they've been stigmatised?
I think it just comes out in the conversations. I don't think it's apparent for the start. I think just as you're talking to them, they'll just say, but nobody cares, housing didn't care. And there's certainly like blocks of flats that you just know that there's never going to be really any major improvements made to them.
I think you get stigmatised. You get stigmatised that much that you just come to expect it. You expect nothing to be done for you, and you expect people to look down on you. It's just, it's hard.
There's groups of flats that you could be going into, and there's an individual living on the second or the third floor, and he can be, after an initial visit, be lone work. I certainly wouldn't lone work even walking through the close.
Like you're saying, people with addictions and people in recovery or accessing services, they just expect to be judged and no helped, and I suppose that then, and I'm just assuming because I haven't been affected by addictions, but I'm just assuming that then will impact on the potential for people to get on the recovery journey. I would imagine
it does.
And I suppose it's like any other, well, I'm just assuming any other illness, it's not just about the medication, it's about the therapeutic side and the whole, like, the whole party,
Aye.
supporting somebody through recovery. The whole holistic approach, I suppose. And it's not just here's your medication,
that's not going to fix it. It's the talking therapy and things like that that's going to fix it and get to the root of the problems.
Yeah. So looking at the whole picture, looking at why somebody uses and referring them to services that then can help them to look at the issues that whether he uses drugs or alcohol.
I suppose it must work though, because you guys, and there's lots of other people working in drug and alcohol services in terms of peer. So I suppose to some extent, for some people, not all, I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't need to be fixed and there's no areas where it needs to be better, but I suppose to some extent it does work, because there is some people like yourselves who have been on that road to recovery. And
there is services out there, and I think it's just knowing where these services are to be able to access them.
I had absolutely no idea. I've started with Circles, the amount of things that I've found out that was actually out there that could have helped is unbelievable. I think people finding that out is a massive thing to help them.
And I suppose for you guys, when people come to advocacy and they need advocacy, like you're saying, it could be for benefits or it could be for housing or like refer it to a food bank, you guys will pick up on other issues that you can either signpost to or help with, or there's other services you could tap into to be able to get help for that person. So I suppose if somebody's coming with one issue, which is a major issue at the time, like I've no food so I need a food bank, that's massive, having that conversation, you guys can see, well actually I could go to that service and I could tap in there and I can give them information. So you must...
Yep, you can go in with one issue that they've been referred for, but you can end up coming back to the office and there's maybe about 7 or 8 that you need to add onto the system.
I've had one this morning, exact same. One issue to come on with and it's now 6 issues. So it snowballs. There's always more.
So I suppose it's for you, for your service, it's a positive, because like you're saying, somebody will come to you guys and they'll say I have one issue, but like you're saying, the people might not know what's out there to help, so they're not able to say, and also I have this and this, but you guys are able to tease that out through the conversation. But again, we're going back to people don't know what services are out there.
They don't. And a lot of people do lead, and you have to expect it, chaotic lives. That perhaps they have tried in the past to access services, but because of their lifestyles, they can engage and disengage. And that's a bit of a problem as well. But I mean, there is lots of services out there, and the good thing about Circles is there is absolutely no waiting list. There's no waiting list.
And I know for all services it doesn't work, because we're all restricted by how much staff we have and how much time we have and all the rest of it. But I suppose for us, for a service, we're aware that people, like you say, might be in chaotic situations, so they will disengage. But they can come back to us and go away and come back as often as they want. There's no restriction with your service, because we're aware that's going to happen. And I suppose you guys will have seen that. People disengaging and then
they come back a couple of months later, and maybe when they're feeling better and they feel that they're more able to deal with things in their lives. There isn't this where you kind of come back within 3 months, 6 months or a year. They can come back whenever they feel that they need the help.
So we do also work in partnership with the other drug and alcohol services in Fife. Like we receive introductions and we give introductions to other services. So like there's DAPA will receive introductions for First, Clued Up, Adapt, FAS and Restoration. But I'm aware that you guys do a lot of drop-ins in the different groups. And Debs, you also facilitate the Scottish Drugs Forum group in Dunfermline, don't you?
The Fife engagement group every Thursday at Viewfield Church in Dunfermline. I'm rotated in there to co-facilitate, and then we attend Restoration in the Methil, Dunfermline, Glenorths areas 1 week of the month, and then the groups run by Adapt first Friday of the month in Methil, and then there's another 2 groups going to be they're set up for the Kirkcaldy area and Cowdenbeath area. So they're just new. So we go along to these groups as well, and occasionally pop them into food bank cafes as well. We're quite happy to go in there, and we also still continue to raise awareness throughout Fife
And I suppose, like, for you guys attending restoration in the KYA or the KY groups, as they're probably going to be known, it's not just about raising awareness in terms of advocacy and connecting with people, but sometimes because maybe you can't get hold of people, it's a good chance to meet
Yep.
people that you're already working with, and you can meet them in their own environment. Is that?
Yep, I quite often pop into the groups to try and catch somebody that I'm working with, and haven't been able to get them on the phone or haven't been able to get them at the house, I will pop into the groups to try and catch them. And the groups are happy for me to do that, and there's no problem there.
So I'd like to thank Deborah and Robert for joining us today for a chat, and please join us again next month for the next conversation.